but was implied was that if they are politically motivated, they are false. Now, the falsity part has already been tested by the individual courts concerned. They've gone into the facts of the case and they've either rejected bail because it's not a good case for bail, or they've said there's a prima facie case because the evidence so warrants. Right? Now, the whole case was totally, if I may say so, Zaka, an exercise in misadventure, completely misconceived, and if I may add, slightly audacious.
But tell me this, Mahesh. I mean, the numbers at the end of the day are still what the numbers are. And the figures that were cited by Dr. Singhvi in court today, 125 cases that the ED is probing against people of political, affiliation, if you will, of which the figures he has cited is that 95% of these cases are against opposition leaders, only 5% against those from the BJP. That is not going away.
All right. That's not going away, Zaka, but there are two inferences, right? The two inferences to be made from that figure which you just quoted were, A, right, that there is, the cases are malified, right, and false, but those are tested. So that hypothesis goes. The alternative interpretation is that the current opposition are steeped in corruption, and every effort they've made to fight their cases, whether on the question of bail, the final trials haven't started yet, so they're still presumed to be innocent. But at least there's no case for bail, there's no case for quashing, and they have to face trial. Now that's where this whole exercise in the Supreme Court comes in. They know they're going to face trial. In a large number of these cases, charge sheets or complaints have already been filed. So what they're trying to do, right, is to avoid trials. They're trying to cast some kind of shadow on the investigating agencies, which the Prime Minister cautioned against at that CBI convention. He told them, do not be deterred by these allegations. These are powerful accused persons. They will resort to these side winds, these totally extraneous arguments. They will deviate from the facts and truth of the case. Those are already dealt with. They've had their day in several courts and appellate courts, and they've lost. They can't stomach that. So the only way now was this last-ditch attempt to club all these cases and say there is en masse discrimination and it's politically motivated.
So tell me,
that's been rebuffed.
Yeah, one thing that the opposition continuously says is that the cases against former opposition leaders who have joined the BJP, and they cite the examples of Himanta Biswa or Shubhendu Adhikari, Mukul Roy, etc., who were opposition leaders in opposition parties, joined the BJP, and somehow after joining the BJP, the cases against them are either in cold storage or there's a go slow by the agencies against them. This whole detergent and washing machine argument, I'm sure you must have heard that as well. What do you say to that?
All right, now that's a more plausible argument, I'll say that. But the fact is that the people who have joined the parties, nevertheless, the investigations continued against them, right? Some of them have turned witnesses for the prosecution, right, to get bigger fish. A. B, if you still feel, if the opposition still feels, right, and I do not know why they just, this is only, repeatedly stating the same thing in the media. If you feel that there's any person who has been a genuine case of, as you put it, dry cleaning through a BJP laundry, right, please go to the court. Go to the court and tell, you must have some facts on the basis of which you say so. Your mere saying so doesn't get you anywhere, right? Put your money where your mouth is. Go to the court and say, this man should not have been let off as he has been by the investigating agencies. He is the beneficiary of favors by the investigating agency concerned, right?
Okay.
And then that's your remedy. There's no point keeping on repeating it ad nauseum to create some kind of a climate without really going to the forum that's actually going to get you justice.
Okay, Mahesh Jethmalani, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this is responded to, both legally and politically. Of course, legally, the petition was withdrawn by the council, Dr. Singhvi. Politically, how the opposition sort of takes it to the people. And ultimately, I think the court also said something very interesting, which I thought was very, very prescient. And I'll ask Majid Memon this. The question that the court, or at least the observation that the court said was, if this is in the political domain, then fight it politically. And I think that's an absolutely, kosher argument, that if you are not able to defeat the BJP politically, then settle that politically. That has to be settled in the court of the people, not in the courts of law. That's what the Supreme Court opined today.
See, there are a couple of clarifications which are very necessary for your viewers and for all of us to understand. Number one is that there were certain oral exchanges of words from the bench and the bar when this matter was taken up before Supreme Court for hearing. But those things are not part of any judicial orders. And in fact, there is no order passed at all, save and except one worded that allowed to withdraw, dismissed, withdrawn. Now, therefore, you see, any talk between the two sides will have no impact, in fact, except of course for the journalistic consumption or for political consumption, but they have no legal recognition at all, number one. Now, number two, I must tell you that the opposition approached Supreme Court, there was some kind of miscommunication, if I would call it that way, that the opposition's approach before the Supreme Court was not with a view that the opposition, political opposition leaders consider themselves above common man's rights. It is not that way. You see, opposition leaders have never suggested, even impliedly or indirectly, that they should be treated differently. Because that is what precisely Justice Chandrachud, it seems, must have also commented orally. That is what we have heard. But let me tell you that court is right in saying this. As an officer of the court, I must tell your viewers that the court is right in saying that there can't be a general accusation. There has to be a case specific that you come out with. Then we will definitely examine that and then give our views. And if we feel that, well, there is discrimination or injustice or there is any breach of law or excessive use or abuse of power, we would come forward. That is what Supreme Court means.
No,
and I don't quarrel with that at all.
Yeah,
that's
Mr.
absolutely
Memon,
right.
The basic premise of this petition that was moved, and we've heard this argument from numerous opposition leaders, is that the agencies are being used disproportionately against opposition leaders. Today, the court, by saying that that premise is wrong or not accepting the petition, thereby the petitioner being forced to withdraw that petition, the court is essentially saying that that whole premise itself is wrong.
No, let me clarify this point also. Now, see, the case of the opposition is the abuse of powers by the central agency at the behest of people in power, namely BJP. Now, that is the fundamental premise, first premise in the logical syllogism. Now, this fact that there is hue and cry that the CBI, and we are not talking about favoring BJP or victimizing opposition, we are talking of the general functioning of BJP and CBI throughout the country. Even non-political people are also coming within its fold. Now, what I am trying to convey is that there has been cry throughout for the past some years, some months, that BJP, that CBI and ED are doing excessive work, they are abusing their power, or rather they are functioning at the behest of some political push. Now, this is not what the opposition leaders are saying. Mind you, this is something very important which I am telling you. This is what the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice Ramana, had said on the 75th anniversary Amrita lecture which he delivered in Delhi about last year, in which he has said, these are his words, that the agencies, CBI and ED, national central agencies, are found to be abusing. There is a lot of grievance, and therefore there is a need to have a monitoring committee to examine whether there is abuse or whether there is discrimination or whether there is selective attack. Now, this is what is the observation of the Honorable Chief Justice of India of that time.
But Mr. Memon, today the current Chief Justice has rejected that notion, or at least rejected the premise of that notion, that agencies are being selectively used to target only persons of a certain political affiliation, and if you're from the BJP's political affiliation, then you're not being targeted. That premise has been rejected by the court.
Now listen, what you are telling me about Justice Chandrachud is also not a judicial order. Again,
sure,
it is not a judicial order. It's just an oral exchange of free thought, and the one Chief Justice differs from another Chief Justice. You see, if today's Chief Justice makes an oral comment like this, that, well, there is no selective this thing, that is his personal view. That is not a judicial order. Again, I am saying so. Let Justice Chandrachud say this from the bench as a judicial order.
No,
then
I'm coming back to the fundamental point.
So
when the court says, when the court says that politicians or the political class cannot have a different set of rules, I mean, you can't expect the court to say that, you know, there should be tighter scrutiny of cases that are political in nature, or whether accused persons are political,
with respect,
as opposed to, you know, accused persons, not being politicians. You can't have that. The law is the same.
With respect, law is the same. With respect, with highest and utmost respect to the Honorable Chief Justice of India, who is said to have stated like this as you are telling me. I have not heard him saying so. But I take it that Chief Justice said what you have told me now. With respect, I disagree with him for simple reason that there is a separate provision for the offences against the public servants like MPs and MLAs. There are different courts meant for them, for expediting their matters. Their matters be taken earlier because they are considered as slightly different. Although the set of law applies with the same fury, whether to a common man, to a politician. That is one side of it.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you want to distinguish, there is a point of distinction that the MPs and MLAs have got different courts which are taking the matters faster, quicker, and for certain special judges are appointed. So how can you say that the common? These are the facts.
Anyway, we'll see how this story plays out. Like I said, I think at least the legal avenue here seems to have been, at least in this form, seems to have been exhausted, with the petitioner now withdrawing the cases. But in the court of public opinion, whether or not this will have resonance in the run-up to 2024, we'll wait and see. Thank you very much to Majid Memon and earlier to Mahesh Jethmalani as well. Let's now move on to the other story that we're tracking, and this is a big one too. On the night of the 2nd of April, a man entered the Alapura-Kannur Executive Express. He sprayed an inflammable liquid on passengers, setting them on fire. It left 3 people who tried to escape by jumping off the train. They were dead, which includes a mother and her child. While the accused managed to escape, the police recovered a bag, there were some writings, a phone that was linked to a person from Uttar Pradesh, and today the accused person has been arrested. It was a joint team of the Central Intelligence and Maharashtra Anti-Terror Squad which nabbed Shahrukh Saifi from Ratnagiri railway station in Maharashtra. Here's why you should pay attention to this story. Alright, so here's how the accused was traced. The Maharashtra ATS and central agencies zeroed in on Shahrukh Saifi with the help of his phone. Top intel sources have told CNN News18 that a diary and a mobile phone were recovered from the spot of the fire. The fire happened in Kozhikode 3 nights ago. The phone recovered was without a SIM card, and on the basis of the IMEI number of that phone, it was traced to Shaheen Bagh in Delhi. When the police contacted the family, they told the police that their son was missing and that they had registered a missing persons report. Sources say that 6 of Shahrukh Saifi's phones were then put on surveillance after his family recorded their statement. Sources also say that one of the phones got switched on around 1:30 a.m. and the Maharashtra ATS was informed about the location where this phone was switched on. After being alerted, the local police team immediately rushed to the Ratnagiri hospital. Reaching the hospital there, the cops were informed that a man with injuries had come, but he later ran away. A manhunt was then subsequently launched and the whole area was searched. Shahrukh Saifi was later found at the Ratnagiri station. The accused was arrested in a joint operation around 1:30 a.m. He will be handed over to the Kerala police after completing formalities. The Kerala police would seek his transit remand from the local magistrate and then will take him eventually to Kerala. Now, agency sources are also telling CNN News18 that as of now, the initial probe seems to suggest that it was an act of terror. The accused had 6 mobile phones. He's also confessed to buying inflammable liquid. He has admitted that his aim was to set people on fire. This is what transpired over the last 3 days from that fateful night at the Kozhikode railway station to the early hours of this morning when Shahrukh Saifi was apprehended.
अभी भी जो ATS है, केरल ATS है, वो यहाँ पर मौजूद है। जो जानकारी मिली है उसके मुताबिक DYSP के नेतृत्व में एक ATS की टीम यहाँ पर पहुँची है पूछताछ करने के लिए। लगातार सारे सबूत इकट्ठा किए जा रहे हैं कि आखिर क्या मकसद शाहरुख सैफी का था।
मैं तो ये कहना चाहूँगा, अगर वो दोषी है तो उसको सज़ा दी जाए।
जुड़ा हुआ भी था
नहीं, कहीं किसी का नहीं, किसी का कुछ नंबर कुछ तो मिलता। अगर वो ऐसा कुछ होता तो घर में कुछ तो मिलता, तो घर में कुछ नहीं मिला।
All right, I want to open this up because this is not a case in isolation. Let's absolutely be very clear about this. We saw in Mangalore the terror attack that happened a few months ago, in Coimbatore the attempted terror attack that happened a few months ago. All of this, it was very, very clear that there are these lone wolf type attacks that are happening. What happened in Kozhikode, at least from the preliminary information on prima facie, it seems like it was an attempted act of terror, and in this case, a lone wolf attack as well. So is there a concern in some parts of southern India of these lone wolf attacks, which is not being taken seriously enough, either by the local administration there, or they're not able to connect the dots to this larger pattern that seems to be emerging? Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us. KJ Alphonse is a BJP leader, former minister. Professor Dinesh Varshini, leader of the CPI, and Vikram Singh is former IPS officer, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. KJ Alphonse, is there a reluctance? I mean, even after this man, Shahrukh Saifi, was nabbed from Ratnagiri, there hasn't been an acknowledgement either from the state government or even the police have not openly said that this seems prima facie a case of terror. Is there a reluctance to look at these one-off cases, these lone wolf cases, and link it to a larger pattern of terror, even after the evidence suggests the contrary?
I think, according to me, the investigation has to be very scientific. It has to proceed. It has to be done with the assistance of central agencies, NIA especially, because this appears to have much wider ramification than a one-off attack by a single individual. To me, this action fits in perfectly with the definition of terror. When you do an act which is likely to cause strike terror in the hearts of people, or in a group of people, which is likely to cause death or injury, that is a definition of what a terror act can be. And therefore, to me, it's an act of terror. Of course, congratulations, first of all, to the Maharashtra police for apprehending the accused so fast and very quickly. And now, I guess, it should not involve just the Kerala police to whom the accused is being handed over. I think it should involve also much wider investigations by the National Investigation Agency and such other agencies which can be involved, because I've been warning repeatedly that there is a huge rise of fundamentalism in this country, especially state of Kerala, which leads individuals to believe in certain things, which leads to actions which are completely detrimental to the interests of society, and in some cases to actions which are even which can be classified as terrorist actions. So I really think state governments all across the country, irrespective of to which party they belong to, they need to take much stricter action against fundamentalist elements who voice who are at liberty today to say whatever they want and get away. I think state governments have to be much more forthcoming in taking action against these people, so that this kind of things are not repeated.
Okay.
Now, I hope there will be a proper, serious investigation, and then we come to the root cause of what is the reason and what kind of an action. Is it a lone wolf action, or is it something much bigger which was at
So Professor Dinesh Varshini of the CPI, you know, we have seen similar attacks or attempted attacks in Coimbatore a few months ago. We saw this in Mangalore again a few months ago. There are these cases that are coming up from time to time, one individual or two individuals at best, for no rhyme or reason. I mean, here again, this man who has been accused and who's been taken into custody now is apparently a carpenter from Delhi. He went all the way to Kerala and set on fire two people or three people in a train. He had no connection with these people. There was no prior relationship or any kind of acquaintance between the people who died and this man. It was purely an alleged act of terror. Now, why is it that even in this case, the state government of Kerala has been very reluctant to view this or call this as an act of terror? Why is that?
Look, Jaka, until the investigations are completed, until the leads is collected and establishment has been collected, no state government will be able to say this is act of such and such or not or yes. So you have to wait. I assure the people of India and the Kerala, the investigation will be honest and nobody will be spared. He may be working a conduit to somebody or he may be a conduit of someone. So we have to look into that also, because there is an attempt by the communal organizations of India to disturb the peace of the entire South India, especially Kerala, Tamil Nadu, wherever the BJP government is not there. So that angle has to be seen and other angles has to be seen. We condemn this attack and we have full sympathy with those who have been burnt, and we believe that they will get the justice, and they will get the justice.
No, Professor Varshini, all I'm asking is, give me 10 seconds.
To the task.
All I'm asking is, please give me a plausible explanation for why a carpenter from Delhi should go all the way to Kerala and try to set a train compartment on fire, and three people who died were trying to jump out of that compartment from a moving train, have no connection with this man. I mean, it's not a personal rivalry, it's not personal animosity. He probably doesn't even know who these victims are. It is purely an act of hatred, of terror, more than hatred. Why are the investigating agencies and why is the state not willing to see it for what it is?
Look, Jaka, it can be, it may not be. So we have to wait now. You cannot reach to the conclusion without the proper investigation. He has just been arrested, detained. Let us see what has happened and let us see who is there. He may be working as a conduit to somebody. Earlier also this has happened.
Okay.
That in South India, in Tamil Nadu, that Bihari labor, and then what happened? So these type of things are happening, and we definitely believe that these type of elements should not be supported. These type of elements should not be allowed to go scot-free.
Okay.
And we will not allow them to go
So let me ask Vikram Singh, as a former police officer, as a former DGP, Vikram Singh, the fear is this, that ISIS as an organization may be dismantled, may have very little presence in Syria and Iraq and so on, but there are these lone wolf cases that seem to be coming to the fore. Like I said, we saw this in Mangalore, we saw this in Coimbatore, now we're seeing this in Kozhikode, and of course this man has been arrested from Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. Is our system prepared for such lone wolf attacks? And more importantly, is enough being done to A, recognize this problem, and B, counter this problem?
Zaka, you put a very forthright question, and I would say, beginning from number 1, in a scale of 1:10, whereas we should have been somewhere around 9 out of 10 to contain and control these situations, I would say that we are something around 4 out of 10 and miles to go before we sleep. Number 2, in respect of radicalization, investigation, and proper analysis and proper isolation of these cases, I think we indeed have to take it to a different level. But yes, we are fast learners. We have learned, we have been able to emasculate Simi, Indian Mujahideen and other such outfits. But coming down to Kerala, if the professor's hands were chopped off, we chose to look the other way. It was after some time that the culprits were caught and given a sentence. Then what you mentioned about Mangalore also was a lone wolf attack. And here also the reluctance with which our people in Kerala are not willing to say that it is a terrorist and a lone wolf attack. All the ingredients of fundamentalism, radicalization and the terror attack are there, except for the fact that the confession of Shah Rukh is not there. But the fact of the matter is, Zaka, that the footprints and the fingerprints scream right across that it is a terror attack. It's a matter of satisfaction that the Kerala police, the Maharashtra police, and also the intelligence inputs from central agencies have gone and to contribute the arrest of Shah Rukh But yes, this synergy and this cooperation and coordination is so very important. But for the ban on the PFI, which also appeared to be controversial. In what was it controversial? We should see that the foreign funding, the radicalization aspects, the teaching and the curriculum of the so-called institutions need to be monitored so that there is no radicalization. There is no human trafficking across to Syria and Afghanistan.
I'll give the final word to KJ Alphonse. Even after the PFI has been banned, there is a view that they are working under different other pseudonyms and other the political wing of the PFI, for example, has not been banned. They're using other names and other conduits to continue operating. That's number one. And number two, there is also the fear, Mr. Alphonse, and help allay these fears, that the agencies, the BJP-led government is probably taking it too far, because you can't just solve this problem by the long arm of the law. You need de-radicalization centers. You need to bring these folks into the mainstream, and just by looking at it as a legal/policing problem, you may not be able to solve it.
Very true.
Sakat, this is a policing problem because Kerala has been radicalized beyond recognition. Here we have the former DGP saying, look at what the response of Kerala government was when the hands of Professor Joseph was chopped off. Everybody disowned him. From that moment onwards, the radical elements have such a huge foothold in Kerala, such radical elements, and the state government is doing nothing. So this kind of things are bound to happen. And let me tell you, the only way we can deal with this kind of situations is a very simple, straightforward action. I don't think you can have a soft hand to deal with this kind of things. The largest number of recruits to the ISIS are from Kerala, and the kind of mindset which is there with certain segments of society out there is very scary. So I think the government of India is absolutely on the right track. They need to be very, very tough on this, and we need to eliminate these forces.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this story plays out, not just in this specific instance where the main accused, has been arrested. He's now being taken into transit into Kerala, but also this larger, wider phenomena of these lone wolf, perhaps ISIS-inspired or perhaps other radical terror organizations inspired, which is happening in southern India. It is a real problem. There seems to be a pattern emerging, but are our law enforcement agencies, are our political parties, our local governments equipped or even, coming to terms with the gravity of this problem? We'll see how this plays out. Thanks very much in the meanwhile to all our guests for joining us. I want to move on to another story also from southern India and political. This is in the upcoming Karnataka elections. There was a big catch for the BJP today. Kannada superstar Kicha Sudeep has announced that he will be actively campaigning for Chief Minister Bommai, but he will not be joining the BJP or contesting in the upcoming elections. There was a joint press conference held today. Sudeep sat right next to the Chief Minister, in fact addressed him as uncle or mama. But his tweet also got some special attention as he mentioned how Chief Minister Bommai had helped him out during his struggling days as an up-and-coming actor. Bommai, for his part, has said that Sudeep's support gives big strength to the BJP's election campaign. So, who exactly is Kicha Sudeep, and why is his support now for the BJP so critical, so crucial as we approach this all-important election in Karnataka? He's a Kannada superstar. He has spent the last 20 years as a leading man, over 100 films that he has acted in. He made his Kannada film debut with Tayyava. This was in 1997. The movie that propelled him into superstardom, if you will, was the movie called Hucha. This was in 2001. And thereby, he also earned the nickname Kicha from that film Hucha. This was in the early 2000s when he became Kicha Sudeepa. He entered Bollywood in 2008 with the movie Foonk. In fact, this would mark Kicha Sudeep's first foray into politics. Remember, Sudeep is a scheduled caste. He's from the Nayaka community, which is the largest scheduled caste group in the state of Karnataka amongst the listed scheduled castes. The Nayakas hold sway in the central Karnataka region, also in some parts of North Karnataka. The BJP is hoping that Kicha Sudeep has this massive fan base that will work out in its favor. Reminding our viewers once again that Karnataka goes to polls on the 10th of May, counting takes place on the 13th. Will the inclusion of such a big movie star help the BJP's campaign? Will Kicha Sudeep prove to be a boon for the Chief Minister and his party?
I'm here to give my support to my dear uncle and my respected Bommai sir. I'm here to render my support, sir. I feel there is a lot of good that has happened also, which is again a perspective as a citizen, and it's got nothing in my connection with him, sir.
उसका पूरा कैंपेनिंग हम ब्लूप्रिंट करेंगे और उनका बहुत बड़ा पॉपुलैरिटी है और वो आर्टिकुलेट भी है, इसलिए बहुत बड़ा ताकत बीजेपी को मिलेगा.
All right, Aishwarya Mahadev, the Congress is joining us. We'll also be joined by a BJP spokesperson very soon. But Aishwarya Mahadev, this is a big coup. I mean, you're from Karnataka. You've grown up, I'm sure, on a staple of Kicha Sudeep's movies as well. He was believed to be close to DK Shiv Kumar, your KPCC president. But somehow he's now decided to help out the BJP with campaigning. He's got a huge fan base, name and face recall. Will this hurt the Congress party's chances?
Good evening, Zaka. I think first and foremost, congratulations to Kicha Sudeep for the decision that he's taken. We wish him all the very best. We do not believe it is a coup of any sort whatsoever. We believe it is somebody's political aspirations manifesting itself through being a campaigner. It could have been also that he wanted to contest or whatnot. One thing is very, very clear though with the Congress party. We welcome anybody who believes in our ideology and wants to contribute to the Congress party, but we do not begrudge anybody that does not want to be part of it. We don't understand under what sentiment or statement or mama, as he said, prompted him to move there. But I think, Zaka, at the end of the day, this is not a game changer. Yes, he is a large face, but I do not believe him or even Prime Minister Modi, as you've seen, set to do 20 rallies and is inaugurating projects that are hardly even completed, can save this sinking ship that is the BJP here, whether it is being mired in corruption, whether it's the infighting, or also very uniquely, Zaka, I want you to observe one thing. Sudeep personally in his entire interview spoke about Bommai. He said, I will support Bommai. It was almost indirectly like saying, you know, I don't want to support RCB, but I will support Virat Kohli, and almost like negating the fact that Virat Kohli belongs to a particular team. But that is what has happened today. But I don't think any of this
But
can
Aishwarya,
save...
you have to admit that Virat Kohli is an RCBN, and an RCB without Virat Kohli will not be the same. So for whatever it's worth, Kicha Sudeep brings his star power to the BJP.
No, I absolutely agree. But the fact is, if you watched and observed the entire press conference, it was almost like he was very reluctantly trying to draw a distinction between Mr. Bommai, who, mind you, has not been declared as the chief minister face yet, who Prime Minister Modi forgets to even mention when he's speaking about BS Yediyurappa during the Shimoga event. Okay. So maybe this is a sentiment of actors coming in to further prop up a CM aspirant as opposed to particularly working for the BJP, because when asked about Prime Minister Modi, when asked about ideology, Kicha Sudeep did not. He kind of very slyly diverted away from the topic.
Okay, so let me ask Sanju Verma, who's now joining us. Sanju Verma, the contention by the Congress and by Aishwarya Mahadev is that Kicha Sudeep's support or campaigning will be restricted only to Chief Minister Bommai. His support, even in the press conference, was restricted to Chief Minister Bommai. He won't be campaigning for the BJP. He's certainly not joining the BJP or contesting on a BJP ticket. So therefore, whatever little, support or support base of his or fan base of his that he brings may not help your party.
Okay. Zaka, first things first. I think Kicha Sudeep has a huge fan base, point number one. Point number two, let's be very clear that, be it sports personalities, be it people from the Hindi film fraternity or from other, areas of artistic domain, people who have a basic connect at the ground level by virtue of, having a huge outreach are always welcome within the political domain, irrespective of whether they follow the Congress or BJP ideology. And I will just give you a small example to buttress my point. If you recall, in Lok Sabha 2019, Urmila Matondkar contested from the Mumbai North constituency. And I mean, we are all aware that Urmila Matondkar has zilch political experience. That was the case even in 2019. And I clearly remember Congress spokespersons tom-tomming the fact that why not have a celebrity, because celebrities do have a natural electoral vote base which the concerned party can capitalize on. And if you remember, while the Congress can scream from every rooftop that the Bharat Jodo Yatra was not a political yatra, the fact of the matter is that each time a C-grade starlet, and I'm not going to mince my words because that is the language that fits certain people, whereas Swara Bhaskar, who has no political experience apart from trolling right-wingers on social media, or a done and dusted Pooja Bhatt who people have all but forgotten about, when these people joined the Bharat Jodo Yatra, I could see Congress, being so happy and actually bursting at its seams, saying that, look, we have Diggaj personalities from Bollywood joining us, and this will lend greater momentum and credibility to our yatra. Without commenting on the credibility of Swara Bhaskar and Pooja Bhatt, my limited point is celebrities who have a natural fan base, irrespective of their political ideology, if they step into the thick of things and are willing to stick their neck out, then it certainly helps the relevant party. And by the way, Kicha Sudeep has said that not only will he, campaign for the incumbent Chief Minister, Mr. Bommai, but he will also campaign for candidates who Mr. Bommai supports. It basically means the entire BJP in Karnataka upcoming.
So Aishwarya Mahadev, couple of things. One, on this Bharat Jodo point, what Sanju Verma made, please respond to that. I mean, you had either yesteryear stars or stars who wouldn't be called A-listers join Mr. Gandhi in his Bharat Jodo, and you guys made a big deal of it. Kicha Sudeep clearly is a far bigger star than any of the Bollywood personalities who joined Mr. Gandhi in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. That's one part. Please answer that. And two, we have seen in South India, including in Karnataka, where actors have made a very successful foray into politics. I mean, look no further than Ambarish and Sumalata. Divya Spandana had a pretty good political career. Even in the other southern states, from MGR to Jayalalitha to Chiranjeevi in Andhra Pradesh, all of these folks, Pawan Kalyan, they've all done straddled from cinema to politics. So why do you think Kicha Sudeep will not be able to do that?
First and foremost, Zaka, I think Sanju Verma wasn't listening to anything I said before that diatribe came on. Because the singular fact I made is we have absolutely no problem with Kicha Sudeep joining any political party, one. Second, we are not even diminishing his star power and star value. We completely understand that he is a huge, ginormous cine star, not only for Kannada cinema, but a lot of the South. The only point we're trying to make is even he cannot save the sinking ship that is the BJP that is in Karnataka, mired with corruption, mired with infighting. And Sanju Verma does not understand my state enough, because she says to naturally...
Zaka, this is not done.
No. 1 second. I did not interrupt you. It's very wrong when she says that, all the candidates of Mr. Bommai are the candidates of the BJP, because she does not understand the factionalism written in the party there. And the last thing I want to say is, if Mr. just wants to be an electoral representative, also well and good. The singular point the Congress is making today is that even he cannot save the BJP from what's happening. And
all right, Sanju Verma, the BJP in Karnataka is a sinking ship. Even Mr. Sudeep's star power cannot save your party. Quick closing comment. 1 minute, I need to wrap up. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Zaka, I will start with a Hindi saying, बड़े बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले, बड़े बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले. I did not interrupt her, Zaka. You have to ensure now she keeps quiet. Please
yeah, she's saying she doesn't understand Hindi. That's what she's saying. Anyway, go ahead.
No, it doesn't matter. If she doesn't understand Hindi, that is her problem. Let me say what I have to say, because I did not interrupt. Zaka, is this the way you want to moderate the debate?
Okay, 1 second, guys. I mean, one person is speaking in Hindi, other person is speaking in Kannada. I'm speaking in English. I mean, we can't do a debate like this. Sorry, folks. I mean, we can't have one person in Hindi, other person in Kannada, third person in English. I mean, that's not the way to do a debate.
Finish?
All right, yeah, Sanju Verma, finish your point. Yeah.
Thank you, Zaka. बड़े बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले, बहुत मेरे अरमान निकले, लेकिन फिर भी कुछ कम निकले. Basically, the substance of what I said in Hindi, if I have to translate it into English, is that the Congress has been on a losing spree. It has lost one election after another, and still it comes on national television debates wanting to throw a gauntlet at the BJP. You can accuse Sanju Verma of engaging in a diatribe, Let us see what the electorate has to say on the 13th of May.
All right.
Because you even said you will win Lok Sabha 2019. You were reduced to a measly 52 seats. So the point I'm making is that the Congress under Rahul Gandhi has its back to the wall. And speaking of factionalism, we all know the factionalism between Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivakumar.
I am completely out of time. I'm completely out of
BJP.
time. 13th of May, like you said, there is no great leveler in this country than the People's Court. We
And
will
she
see
better start
what.
learning Hindi.
Yeah, we will see what the people of Karnataka have to say, because I suspect the verdict will be telling for all political parties. Let's now move on. This is a quick check as we sign off, and we have a Ghulam Nabi Azad interview coming up right after this as well. But this is a very nice and touching gesture that happened today at the Padma Awards. The chairperson of the Infosys Foundation, author and philanthropist Sudha Murthy, was one of the Padma awardees today. She was conferred the Padma Bhushan in the presence of her entire family. Her husband and Infosys founder Narendra Modi was there, son Rohan Murthy and daughter Akshata Murthy, who happens to be the First Lady of the UK, married to UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. She was there as well. The Murthys are known to be humble and understated, and it was no different at this Padma ceremony as well. In fact, News18 has learned that the British Prime Minister's wife was initially seated in the middle rows along with the rest of her family with minimal fuss or security. Government officials later asked her to move to the front row and seated her right next to External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar. This is, of course, as per protocol as well. And soon, President Draupadi Murmu presented the Padma Bhushan to Sudha Murthy for her work in social affairs. And finally, from Indira Gandhi to Rahul Gandhi, the DPA party chief, Ghulam Nabi Azad, his journey with the Congress has been chronicled in a tell-all explosive book called Azad. The Congress has already questioned the timing of the book, saying that he is combining with the BJP to malign Rahul Gandhi's image. We leave you with his exclusive interview with Ghulam Nabi Azad, where he talks all things from Rahul and Sonia Gandhi to the future of the Congress party and why he believes there are some things that you need to give credit to Mr. Modi for. Thank you for your time.
At the CWC meeting, there were people who actually attacked you and criticized, and they've also called you agents of the BJP.
No, Rahul Gandhi himself said.
He called you an agent of the BJP?
He said that this letter is written by BJP. He didn't blame me only. He said all those 23, the letter itself is written by BJP.
You know, Mr. Anna, in your book, you talk about state by state.
If senior people like us, we were about 13, 14 ex-cabinet ministers, 6 ex-chief ministers, and maybe more than that. How would he say that this letter has been written by Modi and we have signed this? This letter is BJP.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm going to talk about the coterie culture later, but I'm going to quickly talk about this book, because you talk about state by state decline of the Congress party, and there are 2 interesting states you talk about. Punjab, which I saw myself, how Captain Amrinder Singh, again a senior CM, and the way he was removed. And you talk about an interesting incident of Hemant Biswa Sarma and the whole Piddi story. But the interesting point is this was Sonia Gandhi's decision that Hemant Biswa Sarma should become the CM. Rahul Gandhi overruled it, and Sonia Gandhi preferred her son's word over her own word.
Yeah, this is what I have said also, that she should have risen to the occasion and she should have asserted herself, which she did not.
Son's love, you think that is also what has brought the party down? Would you say that's the reason why the party? Because many who leave the party say this, that Rahul Gandhi's staccato style of politics, stubborn, not willing to listen to the seniors, and he wants to build up his own group. You think that is the undoing of the Congress party? You agree with them?
Making his own group, we don't mind, but his own group has also left. All the young people have left. Where are those young people? Those young people have left much before I left.
Like, coterie culture is something which is there in every political party.
I'm not against coterie culture. Coterie cultures have been always there, and all over the world. Some people have been close. But the difference is between coterie and coterie. The one coterie is you have the advisors who have come from the grassroots, who have the knowledge of everything. Suppose Congress party. So people like me and so many who have come from block level, district level and all that. People like us who have come from deputy minister, state minister to cabinet minister. But if somebody had not been in Congress through lateral entry, will today come and he will start or she will start advising, they will go haywire. Because the advisor himself does not know ABC about the Congress history. Reading a book is something, but to be the part of the history is to be totally different.
Mr. Anand, you may not be in Parliament, but I'm sure you're watching what is happening inside Parliament. There's so much of hangama happening over the disqualification of Rahul Gandhi, him being evicted from the House, and he's saying that there's been a political witch hunt. Do you think it's a tactical mistake which is being made by the advisors of Rahul Gandhi? They should accept the law?
There are two things. One thing is whether Rahul Gandhi should have been expelled or not. That is one thing. Second thing is whether Parliament should or should not function on this particular issue. These are two different things. I will take the second one first. We, the senior people who were in the cabinet at that point of time who brought this ordinance, we were of the opinion that this piece of legislation is not good for politician, which is why the cabinet met, passed cabinet and the president signed.
I mean, you agreed with Rahul Gandhi?
No, not agreed. Otherwise, how could ordinance become? So it became an ordinance. So ordinance means law. Ordinance, the moment president signs it, it becomes a law. It becomes law till the first available parliament session passes it.
Correct.
If it passes, it becomes permanent law. Otherwise, it is a temporary law till. So at the moment when Rahul Gandhi tore it off, it was a law that time. So law made by the cabinet and president signed. The president's signature is the law, whether it is after passing the legislation or after the cabinet. So it was a law. So according to him, that cabinet is wrong. So this law should be there. So that law is there. So why?
On hindsight, maybe he should not have asked for it to be torn up.
This is what either he should have not done it, or he should have not cried in a fall.
But you saw the show of strength through the Surat court.
But in spite of this, whether he should torn it off or he should make halla gulla or not, I'm against this. Okay. This should not apply to any political leader, whether Rahul Gandhi or Lalu Prasad or any Samajwadi party leader or any other leader. For any political party, it should not. It should apply to politicians with criminal background. That's number one. So, I'm not in favor of this. Still, I am of the opinion there should be a legislation and this part should be done. No, this should be done.
But do you think that whole show of strength...
But the Parliament has nothing to do with it. Parliament cannot influence the judiciary. You have to fight this in judiciary. Whether this is wrongly decided or rightly decided, that's besides the point. Is now the court, the session court, the high court, the Supreme Court, they have to decide.
Anand, the Congress's objection is...
So, why the Parliament should not work for 1 month altogether?
No, Mr. Anand, the objection of the Congress party is to the fact that the promptness with which it was done. For example, promptly is asked to evict the House. Then they ask this question and look at Mr. Azad, because he praises the Prime Minister, unko ye ghar abhi bhi mila hai. You're not asked to leave.
No, I am not the only one. There are a large number of one. I want always Rahul Gandhi safe. I want him 100 years to live. But people should also know, when I resigned from the ministry during Rahul Gandhi's time and asked him to give me the Punjab, Rajiv Gandhi told me, you know what you are doing? You are signing a death warrant by your own hand. I said, I am signing death warrant. And I am signing that I may not survive more than 6 months. And during my 4 years' time, till the elections were not held, I was attacked by militants more than 26 times and escaped each time. Subsequently, as Chief Minister, I had almost the same job. So I escaped another 10 to 12 attacks from the Chief Minister. One of the attacks as Union Minister earlier during Rao Saab's time, the rocket launcher was launched at my in-laws' place, the room in which I was there for the last 4 days. But luckily, I had come back in the evening and militants did not know. And they went to the neighboring house. They couldn't attack me in the house because there was army on both the gates. So they were so determined. They went to the neighboring house, and neighboring house on the gunpoint, they went inside, and from their window, they had a rocket launcher on my room in the first floor.
Because of security reasons that you're being allowed to keep the house.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Anand, when I was walking into your house, I saw pictures of you
there
with
is
Rajiv
a
Gandhi.
security perception and security incidents.
Okay. So when I was walking into your house, I saw pictures of you with Rajiv Gandhi. So, abhi bhi inside you, that little affinity for the Gandhi family is there?
But there is
Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, not for Rahul Gandhi? Or the parting has been bitter?
Well, I recognize that Indira Gandhi was a leader, Sanjay Gandhi was a leader. Inside is Sanjay Gandhi's also. Okay. In my bedroom, Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi. So I recognize strongly that Rajiv Gandhi, what is leader? The one who leads in right direction is the leader. So I think Sanjay Gandhi was a leader, Indira Gandhi was a leader, Rahul Gandhi was a leader, Sonia Gandhi was a leader. But I'm not satisfied though that whether Rahul Gandhi has qualified to be a leader.
From Ratnagiri railway station was where this person named Shankh Sethi was picked up. He was in fact absconding ever since the incident on April 2nd. But when his location was traced, there were inquiries that were made, and it was found that he was in a civil hospital where he was getting a treatment for his injuries. Which is why now what we see is that depending on his situation, he'll be produced in the local court asking for a transit remand, following which he'll be taken to Kerala for further investigation. Currently, he's in the custody of RPF Ratnagiri, and the investigation would continue. In fact, his interrogation is on right now, and very soon we understand that Kerala Police will also be reaching Ratnagiri to take his custody. Yes.
We have security analyst Patikrit Payne joining us. Mr. Payne, good morning. So, major development in the Kerala train fire case. The absconding accused has now been nabbed in Ratnagiri. How do you see this development?
Well, good morning. It will take some time for the investigating agencies to find out the actual motive behind it. But in today's era of social media playing a role in terms of indoctrination, it is not necessary that every potential act of terror would have some kind of a link with the terror organization. Somebody can get indoctrinated on his own and actually trigger a lone wolf attack. What we also witnessed that if in case it has any terror angle or an objective which is subversive in nature and not a personal grudge, what is worrying are the patterns and the dimensions in which how it is changing. Perhaps there are no more use of high intensity explosive material that is being replaced by other kind of inflammable products which might be readily available and for any kind of activity like this. It is a worrisome nature. Probably it is not easy for any security agency to prevent every attack like this. But where the radicalization is taking place, why people are moving towards certain elements are moving towards that kind of direction, it requires a thorough investigation.
Shahrukh Saifi is the one who set his co-passengers on fire in a Kerala train, and now He has been nabbed by the police. He was absconding and now he has been nabbed in Ratnagiri. He was at a civil hospital in Ratnagiri where he was undergoing treatment for his injuries. And now he has been nabbed by the police. Remember, he was the one who had set his co-passengers on fire in a Kerala train, and two of them even died. A woman and a 2-year-old child even died in that incident while jumping off the train. And now the accused has been nabbed in Ratnagiri by the police. CNN News 18's Anvit is joining us to give us more details on this. Anvit, can you tell us more about Shah Rukh, who has now been nabbed by the police in Ratnagiri?
See, it is being said that it was in the intervening night of 4th and 5th April that Shah Rukh Saifi, who was the prime accused as per the Kerala police, he has been arrested. It was a joint team of Central Intelligence and Maharashtra ATS that have managed to nab Saifi. And he had been absconding ever since the incident took place on Sunday, where he had allegedly sprayed some inflammable liquid on the passengers of the train and then had set them afire. Now, yesterday his location was traced to Ratnagiri, and inquiries at the hospital in Ratnagiri revealed that Shah Rukh was at Ratnagiri Civil Hospital for his treatment for the injuries that he had received, because he had, while escaping, he had jumped out of a running train, and that is why he had received some injuries, and he was getting treatment at Ratnagiri at the civil hospital. But when the teams reached there, he managed to, ran away from the hospital without getting complete treatment. However, subsequently, extensive searches were made for him in Ratnagiri area, and finally Shah Rukh was located with the help of technical surveillance and the team joint operations of the police, and he was arrested. Now, currently it's being said that he is under the custody of the RPS Ratnagiri, and his interrogation is yet to start, after which his antecedents will be confirmed, and it will also be confirmed if he is the same man, because the police had been making many raids in Delhi, Noida, UP and other areas also, as it had been confirmed that this man belongs to UP, and since then raids are being made. Many other people had also been detained, who had similar names or had any possible connection with this incident. So this man has now been taken into custody, and questioning will soon begin, is what we believe.
All right, Anvit, we also have Neetu with us. Neetu, now that the absconding accused Shah Rukh Saifi has been nabbed, what next for him?
See, he'll definitely be brought back to Kerala, because the case has been registered in Kerala, and it's not just the Kerala police, but it's not just the Kerala police that has been involved in this. According to Manoj Gupta's information, that he has been nabbed by the Maharashtra ATS there. So,
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post, and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Donald Trump faces 34 charges. From former president, he is now a defendant. He has many infamous firsts to his name, but this is a serious legal battle. Can he survive it? More importantly, can he weaponize it to win sympathy ahead of the next presidential election? He says this is election interference. We'll discuss. French President Macron is in China today, trying to forge a middle path, trying to not get caught up in the US-China battle, but betraying Europe's confusion over China. Meanwhile, India is turning to Africa, tapping into the big arms bazaar there. Indian defense supplies are finding many takers in Africa. We'll tell you about the latest win in Made in India in defense. In West Asia, sports is the new money spinner. Some numbers put this trend in perspective. Taiwan's president is landing in the US tonight and holding meetings despite China's warnings. We'll talk about all of this and more. The headlines first. After nearly 8 years, Iran names an ambassador to the United Arab Emirates. This move signals a thaw in ties between the Gulf states. It comes after Iran and Saudi Arabia announced restoration of diplomatic ties last month. Former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon's husband has been arrested. Peter Murrell has been held in a probe into the Scottish National Party's finances. This case relates to funds raised by the party to hold a second independence referendum. Sturgeon's husband is the former chief executive of the SNP. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visits Poland. The neighboring country is one of Kiev's closest allies. Poland has been urging NATO members to increase military supplies to Ukraine. It has also accepted more than 1 million refugees from Ukraine. Foxconn's billionaire founder will run for Taiwan's presidency again. Terry Gu says he is running to quote-unquote avoid a war with China. He stepped down as Foxconn's chief in 2019. Taiwan will elect its next leader in January 2024. Japan battles its worst ever bird flu outbreak as egg prices soar. More than 17 million birds have been killed in just this season. The situation is so grim that Japan is running out of space to bury the dead chickens. And Germany steps up surveillance on Apple for possible abuse of its market position. Its antitrust watchdog opens the door for future curbs on the tech giant. Amazon, Alphabet and Meta are already under close scrutiny in Germany. $34. That's the number of charges against Donald Trump. Not 1, not 2, but 34. For the former president, America is now a nation in decline and a third world country.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen. Incredibly, we are now a failing nation. We are a nation in decline.
Trump took to social media too. On his app Truth Social, he said, and I'm quoting, "This seems so surreal. Wow, they're going to arrest me. Can't believe this is happening in America." And this is what he was talking about. It's one for the history books. This is the moment when Donald Trump was charged. The first time in American history a former president was slapped with criminal charges. This is Donald Trump sitting before a judge inside a criminal court with his legal team. And it was a strange day for him. He was at the center of attention again, but not in the way that he's used to. Moments before this picture was taken, Donald Trump appeared before a district attorney. He was arrested, his fingerprints were taken, and he was produced before a judge. Then Trump was allowed to go home. But this is just the beginning of his legal troubles. What's happening in America is truly unprecedented. For the first time, a former president has been arrested. He's facing criminal charges. Donald Trump, of course, says he's not guilty. His case will begin soon, and these hearings will test America's democracy. Next year, the US will pick its next president. There is a presidential election, and the case against Donald Trump could define that race. Will he gain support from this legal scrutiny? Or will this case push Donald Trump into political oblivion? It's hard to say, really. But here are the facts of the case, starting with the charges against Trump. Technically, there are 34 charges, but fundamentally, this case has been built on two pillars. Donald Trump is accused of orchestrating a hush money scheme. It paved the way for his presidency. And once Trump was inside the White House, he tried to cover up the scheme. What is the basis of these charges? Donald Trump apparently had an affair with a porn star called Stormy Daniels in 2006. In 2016, Trump made payments to her, a total of $130,000. And what was this payment for? To remain silent. Apparently, Daniels wanted to speak out. She wanted to sell her story to the media, but Trump's lawyer intervened. His name is Michael Cohen. He was Trump's lawyer then. And he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000. She was asked to keep quiet, and she did. 12 days later, Trump won the 2016 election. And all these years later, the hush money payment has landed him in trouble. Trump is accused of falsifying his business records. He reimbursed Cohen for the $130,000 payment. But in his own account books, Donald Trump showed this as legal fee. And that's a lie. And that is why there's a case against him today. Here's how the prosecutor described the case against Donald Trump.
Everyone stands equal before the law. No amount of money and no amount of power changes that enduring American principle. The defendant repeatedly made false statements no matter who you are. We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
So what happens next? The proceedings will be a long drawn-out process. When is the next hearing? 4th of December. It's still far away. The trial will begin in January 2024. It could extend well into the presidential election in the US, and it could go on well beyond that election too. And what happens if Trump is found guilty? At this point, it could go anywhere. Donald Trump could face a fine, or he could go to prison. The maximum prison sentence in such cases is 4 years. But will that stop Trump from running in 2024? Not at all. Even if Trump, as president, goes to jail, the law allows him to run the government from behind bars. That is, of course, if Trump becomes president again. So guilty or not guilty, he can contest the election and he can remain in public office. Which brings us to the next question. Can he win this election? How will this case impact his chances? Will he still have a mass following in the US? As of today, Donald Trump's core supporter base looks intact. They are behind him. Yesterday, he tried to provoke them by painting himself as a political martyr. He says the charges against him amount to election interference.
Our elections were like those of a third world country. And now this massive election interference at a scale never seen before in our country. They attacked me with an onslaught of fraudulent investigations. Russia, Russia, Russia. Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Impeachment hoax number 1. Impeachment hoax number 2. The illegal and unconstitutional raid on Mar-a-Lago right here.
As president, Donald Trump survived 2 impeachments, and that too was a first for any US president. Now he's been charged. Can he win this legal battle? Donald Trump is banking on his supporters to ride this storm. And speaking of storms, France is in the middle of one. There's been a wave of protests. This is what France has looked like for weeks now. People are angry with the French president. And where is the president? He landed in China today. Beijing has rolled out a red carpet for President Emmanuel Macron, and the timing is worth noting. His own country is burning over pension reform, and his top ally, the US, is at odds with China, and that's putting it mildly. Their relations have hit rock bottom. But Macron does not want to get caught up in this. He wants Europe to take the middle path, and he's leading the way. And this betrays Europe's confusion vis-a-vis China. They want to run with the hares and hunt with the hounds. They want to ban Chinese app TikTok, but they want to take business delegations to Beijing.